So basically everything starts with the client coming into an institution. So what's most important is to understand who that client is. Streamlining that customer lifecycle is really important because it gives the financial operations users the time to actually do the analysis of the client to determine if that client is someone that they're comfortable dealing with and offering their services to, as opposed to doing a lot of manual work, checking off boxes and double keying information and uploading documents and all the different things that go into onboarding a client. The biggest problem that the larger firms have is that it's very disjointed and they struggle with standardizing, and it's honestly not their fault in the sense that they deal with a lot of regulatory pressure that causes them to have to try to adhere to these regulations across the globe. So for a global institution, probably one of the biggest things that causes them trouble is that standardization. And without the standardization, it makes the level of complexity that a technology needs to deal with much more difficult as well. So KYC has to do with knowing your customer, knowing your clients. It's periodic because there is no way to keep track of everything that your client is doing over time. So the way to solve that sometime in the future would be to have constant monitoring of what a client's profile actually looks like. So the classic example is a new director comes in or a new controller becomes part of a particular company. The only time you would find out about it is when you periodically review the client. In the future, there's ideas such as perpetual KYC or smart review, where that information would be alerted to the financial institutions that there is a change, and then they could update their profiles and redo their risk assessment based on what those changes are. Fernergo is basically the number one CLM, client lifecycle management tool out there. We've coined the term client lifecycle management. What that means is understanding your client over the life cycle of that client in your institution, both from what you just discussed earlier, changes to the client, but also as it relates to extending more services to that client, potentially globally, which require you to collect more due diligence and do more investigation as to what that client is. The other thing that Fernergo is doing, and we're expanding on, is moving further down the chain. So not just the onboarding of the client and potentially the provisioning of an account, but also the behavior of that client. So recently we purchased a company called Sentinels, which is a transaction monitoring software. So what that would do is give us the ability to see the behavior of the clients, analyze that behavior, and determine if there is any event in that behavior that will require a refresh or review of that client, as opposed to waiting for the next review period. We're unique in a couple of different ways. One, we've been around for quite a while. We've solved the problem of client lifecycle management globally in complex organizations. We're moving essentially downstream to less complex organizations, but we have that pedigree of understanding how to solve that problem. Another reason is we are re-engineering that entire IP using cloud-native technology. So we're moving to the cloud, which is giving us a lot of abilities to be very flexible on how you can consume our product. So it's an API-first concept where we're very modular in nature, so you can interrogate our rules engine, our risk assessment models, and things of that nature. So that's how Fernergo. The other part of Fernergo that's very important is we have out-of-the-box content, if you will. So journeys for onboarding, we've already pre-built them. Policies that you need to adhere to for different jurisdictions. We have a policy team that's constantly staying on top of the latest regulations, and we're building those rules into our rules engine to accelerate the implementation of the software for our clients. I thought it was great. I mean, obviously the whole post-COVID concept of everybody getting together, I think that's great. I'm seeing a lot. What I like about it is you see a lot of different companies that fit within that broader ecosystem of onboarding, right? So we're not all competitors, we're actually very complementary. So maybe 50% of my conversations today have been about, hey, we should partner doing this. Like we do this part of screening, for instance. How would that fit with Fernergo? And then we have a conversation about that, and of course, we share ideas.